Happy New Year, Cammy.
Happy New Year, Pat. Cheers to 2025. We did it.
I know. I'm so excited. 24 was kind of I was on the struggle bus a little bit on 24, not professionally, but personally. And so I'm really looking forward for all of it to just like blossom in 25. So, how is yours starting out?
Mine's going off well so far. I made sure to have intentional space, quiet space to really go inward and to set intentions and to be very focused on my personal well-being and my personal goals and my mission and career things and all of that. So I'm feeling inspired and energetic right now, and I'm really hoping that I can maintain that momentum as the challenges come up, because of course there will be things. But yeah, we were just talking before this about all of the awesome things that we're excited to create this year and bring into just our little community here. So I'm feeling a lot of excitement and inspiration to put energy and time and connection into building out all of these things. So yeah, it's
That's
been
wonderful.
so
Uh,
great so far.
cool. Well, that's what we want to talk about today is you and I have you've been, just amazing in helping to really create some of our community engagement things for the Confident Grief Coach. What do I want to say? Program and school and all of that type of thing. And we've been working hard over the last year to really pull some things together, like the app, and we're starting some mastermind groups and all of that kind of thing. But it really started with we had a vision that we wanted to create community for the professionals. We're all out there doing this work, and we felt it was important for us to connect, collaborate. So do you want to just like share a little bit, because that really is your heart space, right? Is collaborating and creating community, and talk a little bit more about um, why this is so important for you, for us, and the community at large.
Yeah, yes. Community in grief on all of the levels, well, whether you're a griever or you're a grief professional. And of course, those titles overlap because so many of us who are in the grief support profession are doing this work because we have our own grief and we have our own lived experiences. And we really are wanting to build out that toolbox to support ourselves in our journey, but other people as well, because we know how impactful that is. And for me, coming from my own background and experiences, I know as a craniosacral therapist and as a body worker doing healing work, I was, for my own journey, experiencing craniosacral. So much grief was coming out of my own being, processing all these deep down emotions and stuck energy that I had been holding on to that had not been processed in my journey. And when I had some people around me to support that process of healing, especially with body work and yoga and all these other holistic modalities, before I found the Confident Grief Coach School, that really opened up a can of worms that was, for me in my own journey, I mean, once you dive in, you can't go back. So
Mm-hmm.
that inspired me to work through my own stuff. And once I felt confident in doing that, to help other people. So once I started really building my practice as a healer and as a body worker, I was attracting clients who were coming with their trauma and their grief. And I realized that I really needed more skills to support my people in processing through grief. And that's when I found you in the Confident Grief Coach School. And it was just the universe dropped this in my lap as far as, here's this resource and this tool and this family, this community through you, Pat, and through all of your Confident Grief Coach community members in learning how to really support, yourself and one another in grief. And for me, that was the turning point with really understanding how important it is to, first of all, be in community as someone experiencing grief, as a human being who is a human on this planet and inevitably will experience death and loss of all different kinds and the grief that comes with that. And to have your people to walk with you through that is so important. But then coming from this other inspiration and finding meaning and purpose in supporting one another through their journey and being another, just a human being wanting to hold hands with someone going through grief and really being solid and confident in how to do that is just such a game changer and has brought so much meaning and purpose into how I want to show up for my community. And that's really at the heart of, for me, why this is important, because as you know, as we start to do this grief work as a professional, whether it's through, whether you're a cranial sacral therapist or a healer doing some kind of Reiki, or whether you're an intuitive, or whether you're a social worker or a therapist or a nurse, or from whatever background, so many professions are touching grief every day with their clients. And I know how triggering that can be to have your own stuff that gets stirred up, because of course we all have our own grief and our own experiences. And as I was experiencing that in my own practice, I felt so alone and in the dark, as far as like, I don't really know how to navigate this. I don't know how to take care of myself well enough while holding space for other people in their grief, that I just felt so heavy and I felt so isolated, because none of my friends or family could understand my desire to want to be in the grief space.
Right.
And I didn't have any other professionals who understood that. So by the time I found the school and you and all the other people who are showing up in the space, that really was that network and that connection that I needed to have the confidence and the solidity within myself to be able to return to this work sustainably. And that was a game changer. So that's really underlying why we're doing all of this for me and my own experience, as far as building that network and
Right.
that safety net of people you can lean on who really do get the struggles and how it feels so alone and so challenging to be the person to show up for someone in their most traumatic, lowest, darkest periods of their life, because that is a really special place to show up in. And
Right.
and that's really at the core of why we are building all of these opportunities through the app, through these community calls, to really bring everyone together, whether you are from a healer background or a social worker or a nurse or police person or whoever it is, to have that community of people so that we can be supported in sustainably showing up in this work.
Yep. And so that just resonated so much for me, so when we connected, it was like, wow, there is not a lack whatsoever of being able to support the bereaved, because our vision at the Confident Grief Coach School, the one that came to me going on 4 years ago, was to provide accessible and transformative healing for grieving families throughout the world. I knew I couldn't do that by myself. I was using my breathe coaching model for grief and doing one-on-one grief coaching, a little bit of group stuff with families. But how am I going to impact that big of a breath, a global community? So my thing was, okay, I need to teach other people the breathe coaching model for grief, make sure that they're really steeped into the understanding of it, but creating that community, because we need feet on the floor. And then as time has gone on, it's like, there's things where we need to collaborate. You have your own grief coaching and your embodiment coaching practices and your own business. I have my own business. Together we work collectively in the school. Same thing with others out there. We're going to be starting, we're collaborating with someone that has another modality. And, we're going to be trained through their organization. They're actually coming to be trained through ours, so that we can really understand each other, because there is no lack. There is no lack. And that is what I'm hoping to get across today, that regardless of where you're at, what kind of licensure you may have or may not have, we're all on equal footing here. And if we can create a community where we're supporting one another, it's like therapists need their own therapists, coaches need their own coaches. Marianne Williamson would always say, you can't priest yourself. We can't do that for ourselves. We need a community where we can pop in and say, wow, I've been really struggling with this, or I have this case and confidentially, I just need to talk about what's kind of going on because I'm feeling like I'm not supporting my client as well as I feel like I could be supporting my client. Any ideas out there? Or wow, you know, you're really good at running retreats. I'm not, but together we can figure out who's got, you know, and so I think there's a whole world of a community of grief support professionals out there that we want to be able to support in our little way. So we got a couple of different things. You know, we're going to start the Mastermind Mondays this Monday, one Monday a month for a 90-minute kind of luncheon. So I think it starts at 11 o'clock Central, US Central Time. It'll go for an hour and a half. We chose that time because we thought a lot of professionals might be taking their lunch hours then. We also want to be able to support our friends who are not in the United States and whose time zones may be in a very different time space so that they can join us if they so want. And let's talk a little bit about your vision of what this community call might look like.
Yeah, so I've personally been in a couple different groups that I have found a lot of value in. And the most notable thing that I took away from those spaces was the collective wisdom that each person has that we can bring to a space to support one another. And my experience was it was in a business coaching setting. But really, the idea is that you bring something that you need help with, a challenge, a goal you want to reach. Maybe it is a tough client case or just a roadblock of some kind, and you throw it out there and you tell the group what's going on. And each person has an opportunity to share with you what they see from their perspective and view and their experiences about your situation to help you shift in some way. So each person gets to hear from the group to really come up with all these different ideas or steps forward that they could try on, different resources and tools as far as like breaking through the stuckness or reaching their goal. And it is just so beautiful to see a community coming together with each person's unique experiences and tool sets and expertise to be able to support one another. So the beautiful thing is that you not only get to receive in this space each month, but you get to share and help other people as well. So it's just a beautiful give and take of how we get to show up for one another in a space that, like, for grief support professionals, how many people do you know that you can come to with this heavy life or death situation of these deep emotions, and to be able to receive some guidance with that? So I think this is a really unique space that we're creating, and I just see this being such a wholesome and productive and nourishing environment for professionals to come together.
And it's free, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, we just want to be able to have this space and invite in whoever can make it. And so just know, for those of you who are listening, we'll have the link, you know, to register and come in the show notes here so that you can just pop in. And so it's the first Monday of every month. Again, it's noon Eastern time, you know, in the US, and you can figure out your time zone from there. But yeah, and that's what masterminds are about. It's not about that anybody is really better. You know, it's an equal footing of professionals coming together. But we know that the more that we have minds coming together, we can help solve a lot of roadblocks, or, you know, champion each other. And it's just so cool. And we're doing it in the space as grief professionals because this is unique. It's such a unique thing. I just want to share, and I've shared this before, but I'm a certified celebrant. And my celebrant is not about marriages, it's about end of life. It's about funerals and celebrations of life. But I have so many people come to me, how can you do this? Oh
Mm,
my gosh. How can you work with people who are so sad and in the depths of? I come alive when I do
mm,
these, but I have to tell you, the last month, there have been some really heartbreaking
mm,
families that I'm meeting with because their loved one has been young,
mm.
the tragedy, unexpected losses, and just to hold that space. I'm pretty darn good at it, but you know what? I still need to process it, right?
Yeah.
I still need to process it so that I can still be that person every time I get a call. Hey, Pat, do you think you can serve in this capacity? So for me, it's a personal thing, but also a professional thing. Now, the other thing that we have that I'm really excited about is the new app.
Mm,
And this is brand new, folks. I mean, this is just like, well, it's been around for a while, but it hasn't had any real content in it. And Cami just really took the whole, the reins of this horse and helped us to really get this into a great space. But we now have an app that we really want to center around for grief professionals. So do you want to talk a little bit about the app? I think there's like three different ways to join the app, and what's in the app, and what are we looking to envision, and how we would like to invite people to help create this app to be even bigger and better so it really supports everybody.
Yeah, so it's called the Confident Grief Coach app, and you can find it in the App Store, on your Android or iPhone, or even on a desktop as well. So we'll put that link in the show notes so that you can just find it super easy. But just know that it's out there and you can search for it. But this space really is this hub or this go-to resource for all kinds of different tools, trainings, webinars, articles, videos, reflection questions, self-care tips, community for grief support professionals. So what I love is that there's like a large range of things that you can dive into, whether it is you need some space for self-care and you need, some affirmations or journal prompts to really reflect on your own practice, or you're looking for something specific because maybe you have a client who's had an experience that you personally can't relate with or are feeling stuck around and you want to lean on other people who have something to say about it. You can go find videos or articles around that. So this is a beautiful space also for collaboration and this community work like we keep talking about, because we're inviting folks to come in and write their articles and share their videos and express their wisdom in this space, so that we really are hearing from beyond just us with the school and our coaching tools and our techniques, to have other people and their professional experience to come in and also share their wisdom too. So it's only going to keep growing and expanding the more that we build this community. And it's also an opportunity, if you are interested in collaborating in that space, to showcase your work and to share with the community a bit about what you bring to your community as well. So I'm really excited about it. I think there's already so much amazing work in there that we have to share with the world, and we're only going to continue to build trainings, and there's something in there for everybody. The app is free, so when you sign up, you already have a ton of content you can explore, and we're saving um, some of the deeper work, the
Meteor.
trainings, yes, the meteor stuff, some of which, comes from the Confident Grief Coach School, of course, and the trainings and webinars and continuing education courses that we'll have available in a membership portion of the app. So within that, you get even more. So that's a space if you're really a dedicated professional and you're looking to deepen your practice and to have continued resources each week, each month, each day. We have different affirmations and journal prompts that come out. So there's something in there for you if you're really just looking to go all in and to grow your practice in a way that feels sustainable for you. This is the space for it.
And I think, I kind of dig around in there and I see it from a different vantage point because we're administrators of it. but you can go in, and if you're a grief professional, you can click on a tab and it's, um, tools or resources for your client, how to help your client or something like that. I don't even know what we named it, but helping your client and then helping yourself.
Yeah.
And that is just so absolutely cool. And again, I want to reiterate, I believe that there's so much beautiful knowledge in this world. And it's not just going to come from the camis and myself. We want to expand. So if you have written blogs that you think are really powerful and you would like to send us your blog to add in with your byline, and your contact information, hey, we're going to do that. If you have videos where there's some like really cool stuff that you're sharing, hey, we can put that in there with your byline and your information. So it's kind of a twofold where people are going to be seeing you and can be connected to you, but it also is allowing us to have this library, this housing platform that really is centered for grief professionals to be able to just step in there when they need it and take some time to reflect on themselves and the affirmations of why they're doing this work every day, because we really just want to make this like to be so powerful and so beautiful. And again, to go in, you can get it free. If you go in and you do a membership, it's like peanuts per month. I mean, but you get a lot of really great resources and a lot of, booklets and different things like that that might be helpful to you. But again, this is the Confident Grief Coach's contribution to the grief coaching community. It's not cheap to pull together an app and have all the resources and all of that kind of stuff. We're not here to like make bazillions of money off of this. That isn't what this is about. This is truly about, we want to be able to have a platform and a forum for grief professionals to get together, share their work, and then also provide some continuing education programs and that type of thing. So would love to hear from any of you, and we'll have all of the contact information in our show notes.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I just want to quick mention a couple of the things that, as far as professional resources and development and training, some of the things that we get to offer, of course, are, if you're interested in expanding your toolbox of grief resources from a coaching perspective, we have our Confident Grief Coach certification program, which runs a few times during the year. So that is always available. And there's information even within the app on you'll get to see a little bit about what we do in that program based on the content that's in the app. So that's kind of a neat little place to explore if that's something you've been considering going into grief coaching. But then, Pat, you're also starting a business course as well for people who are in this practice and they are starting their own business, or they have, just their own entrepreneurial goals. Then there's a space for that kind of support as well coming from you. So that will be available within the app as well. And then we have a handful of self-paced courses that are in the works as well, as far as like video platforms and all kinds of things to dive into at your own pace, just for that continued learning and development. So you can find all of that within that space. A lot of it will be free, especially if you're in that membership space. You're already paying for little tidbits of things that we're going to drop in there from these courses. But you also get this library, like you said, of all of these different ways that you can develop your practice.
And if you are a membership, you're going to get discounts on actual CEU programs that we're doing, like the meatier ones, the bigger, longer ones, from that perspective too. So I think there's a lot of really great benefit to being a member of it. And also the more that all of you engage in it, the more we can create this into this bigger community, because that's what it's all about. There's plenty of work and individuals out there in this world that need our support. And how cool if we can all link arms together, irregardless of where our business is, what kind of work that we do, but to link our arms together and create this circle of support. I just see this, I just got chills, like the circle of support, you know, around the world, holding space, and then stepping in as individuals to help individuals and communities in their grief. You know, there's just so much, and you know, every day in the news there's big things showing up where, you know, there's been large deaths and trauma and that type of thing, and so let's all work together.
Yeah. Yes. What I love about this work and this profession and just in general being alive in this world is that grief unites us. Grief is that one experience that every single one of us are going to feel and go through. And it doesn't matter, you know, what kind of a profession or licensure, like you said, it doesn't matter what your title is or what letters you have behind your name, or if you are a person who is in a completely different career and you're just someone who's had your own lived experience and your own deep sorrow and your own journey of processing through your grief, then that's really the people that we're attracting here, right? It doesn't matter if you're not a therapist and you want to do grief work, you can do grief work. You're a human alive in this world who has your lived experience, and you can step into that space of holding hands with people as a grief companion, as a grief coach, whatever you want to call yourself. There are so many resources for you to do that. So if you're feeling that calling and you've had that chatter in your brain, like, well, I'm not good enough because I'm not a social worker, I don't have this degree or whatever, I want to shoot that down, because I was one of those people. Like, I was, you know, a yoga teacher and a body worker, and I had no idea what was really in store for me, but I knew that I needed to figure out how to emotionally support people through this process. And it just opened up so many doors. And I don't have a degree in any of that kind of stuff, but that doesn't matter because we're all human and we're all united by this life and death experience and the grief that lives in that in between space. So I just want to encourage you, if you're someone who is really interested in doing grief work, or even just learning how to support yourself or your loved ones, your friends and family members on a deeper level, that there are tools and resources for you and so much to offer, and you're still included, you're still invited into this space. You still have
Mhm.
so much wisdom and powerful insight to share with the world. So keep going.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cami. Well, I couldn't have ended it on a better note than what you just did. So for all of you who are listening here, Cami and I, we have opened the doors. We are inviting you in. Come join us. We'd love to see you there. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.